Coming to you live from Nashville. The Green Room with Jade Million. Welcome to The Green Room with Jade Million. The Girl Who Cried podcast has officially arrived, guys. I have been saying that I'm going to do this podcast for a long time. I actually already had this podcast up and running. Some of you guys might know The Green Room has already been a thing. About 3 years ago, I was recording these episodes over at a studio in Nashville, and I really wanted to do it out of my home because I wanted to be able to, first of all, set up my own studio, my own vibe, and just do it from the comfort of my creative place, which is this room that we are in. So welcome. I want to do a podcast because I am an independent artist in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been in Music City for 10 years now. I moved here when I was 18 years old. I knew nobody, and I just moved here because I loved the vibe of the city. I loved the creativity in it. And I don't know, I just felt called to being here, even though I'm not a country artist. So I have been grinding my way through this crazy industry for the last 10 years, and I have a lot to say about it. And I think that I have a lot of stories and helpful advice and just amazing people that I've met throughout my time here that I want to bring on. I really want this podcast to be a place of entertainment first and foremost, and also inspiration for anybody else who is trying to pursue a career in the creative field. And also it's just important for me to document this part of my life. I've worked a really long time to get where I'm at right now. I'm currently on an independent tour that I put together basically myself with the help of some other independent creatives, but no label, no manager, no team, none of that, guys. No outside funding. Okay. So I came up with the funds to go on tour myself, which, if you know, touring is extremely expensive. And I have a fan base on TikTok of about 250,000. I'm posting high quality content all the time. So I just want to give you guys the inside and raw look from my point of view on what it's, really like doing this without a label. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard, I really do believe that labels are on their way out. And I've come so far without one that I'm at the point where I don't even know if that's ever something that I want in my future. But in the meantime of me figuring this out and going on this journey, I think it's important to just talk about the highs and lows, the ups and the downs, and also just what it's like to live in Nashville. I think Nashville is such a hot spot right now, and I have so much to say about this city in general. So you guys are going to hear all facets of my life. This is a backstage look at my life as an independent artist. I really just want to create a space where I get to show you guys what it's like to build a music career from scratch and show you the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, the messy parts, the glamorous parts. I'm going to show you guys it all. I'm going to talk about it all and just how I've gained the success that I've had up until this point, because I think success is kind of based on your own perception, right? I used to think that there was only one way to be successful, and that was to be the biggest artist in the world, be signed to a label, be on a world tour immediately, have a really quick come up. And I'm really learning that success to me is, living a really comfortable and happy life while getting to pursue my dreams every day and wake up and live my life the way that I want to. So I am my own boss. At this point, I look at my music career like I'm running a business and I'm the CEO. And there are so many facets of me as a person and as an artist that I feel like I can build such a huge empire. So in a way, my perspective has broadened to what I think my success route is going to look like. But it's also gotten simpler, which has made me happier over time, because I don't really feel like there's a clock anymore. I don't really feel this immense pressure to make something happen by a certain time. I think that I'm going to have a really long lasting and beautiful career, and whatever that looks like is what is meant to be for my higher purpose, and whatever path the universe wants me to take to get to that ultimate destination, which in my mind is just reaching as many people as I possibly can with my music, then I'm along for the ride. So I hope you guys are too. For this first episode, I really want to talk about what I think is the most important quality to have as somebody who's pursuing a career in music, especially being independent. And I think that quality is resilience. I have really struggled in the past with my mental health. And as I've gone on through my 20s, I've noticed the biggest change in how I handle bad things in life and how I have been able to more and more quickly kind of bounce back from letdowns or no's or things happening that are out of my control. I think I used to be somebody who got super hung up on, if someone told me that I wasn't good or I wasn't going to make it, and if somebody told me my song sucked or whatever the case may be, and now it's kind of like I can move through things a lot easier. I have a pretty hardcore mindset about this. You could probably ask anybody in my life, but in my eyes, it's like, how bad do you really want this? Everything that happens to you that gets in your way is really just an obstacle for you to overcome. And it's just the universe testing you over and over again to see if you have what it takes. I genuinely think that this career path is not for everybody. And I've had to really learn to constantly be my biggest supporter and be my biggest cheerleader and just understand like nobody fucking cares. Like nobody cares about your career until everybody cares. Okay. So you cannot keep getting hung up on the fact that maybe your songs aren't getting streamed a lot or your videos aren't getting a lot of views. If you get bogged down with a mindset of, wow, like the last 3 days, like I tried to make videos and like nobody was watching, that is going to only slow you down. The people who have won just continuously pushed past that time where like nobody was watching, and trust me, I've definitely been in that place mentally so many times. I think what I'm trying to say is that it's really important to be able to get yourself out of that place and to just keep pushing. As time has gone on, I just have lowered my expectations with the outcome, right? Because it's like, really, at the end of the day, I'm just shooting hoops. I'm just throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks. Because the blessing of not being with a label is that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to put out the right thing at the right point in time, because if I don't, then I'm just going to get dropped and, my funding is going to go away. Or no, that's the blessing about being in control of your own career. You can keep trying and trying and trying again, switching your sound, switching your vibe. And I think something that has also been a struggle for me in the past was a lot of industry people would come at me and be like, I don't know, like, I don't know what box to put you in. I don't know really what genre you are, because I am an artist that likes to experiment. One day I'll be super in my trap pop bag and the next day I'll be picking up my acoustic guitar and writing a sad girl song. And I used to think that that was really hurting me as an artist. And maybe in executives' eyes or people in the music industry, and no offense, but people with an older mindset, that used to be a difficult thing to be able to market. But how I've been seeing it lately is like, I have a song for every mood and I'm constantly evolving. And as an artist, I want to be able to show all the sides of myself. And if some people don't get that, then maybe they're just not the people who are going to be my fans, and that's okay. But I can't go against what feels natural to me just to be more palatable. And I think there's a lot of content out there that really pushes artists to brand themselves in a very like tight niched way. But the problem to me with that is that you can only take that so far. I think that people want you to evolve and want to see your growth and want to see your change. And I think it's invaluable to share your journey and your personality, because that helps people kind of grow with you. A huge way that I've been able to do that as an artist is through live stream. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know, I'm sure a lot of you guys are watching because you have followed my live stream journey. And I want to talk a little bit about this because a lot of people ask me about it. And I think that if you're a music artist nowadays and you are not on live stream in some way, shape, or form, you're making a huge mistake. I know that it's scary, and I know you might be like, well, what am I going to do on there? You'll figure it out. First of all, I'm just going to say that, like, you will figure it out, but you have to, like with anything, just kind of get through that uncomfortable period where it feels like you're just kind of clunky. You're on there, you might not really know what to say or what to do. But for me, I will say I had kind of an easier transition into it, because when I first moved to Nashville, I started performing down on Broadway, and I'd been doing gigs pretty much my whole life. From the time that I was 16 years old, Back in my hometown in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, I was performing at bars and restaurants. My parents knew everybody in our small town, and they'd be like, hey, can my daughter play a show there? And I was gigging from a super young age. So I was comfortable with it, moved to Nashville, would see people performing at the bars. And I was like, that is how I'm going to make my money because I'm doing what I love. Or so I thought. Like I said before, I'm not a country artist. So there was some disconnect for me down on Broadway, when all of the drunk people of Nashville were begging me to play country roads and, friends in low places. And I was like, sorry, guys, that's not really my vibe. I am not really into that. And so over time, it really was wearing away at my artistry and just my desire to even do music because it was literally soul sucking. Like I would go every single night and play these 4-hour-long gigs, just me and my guitar at a random bar or a random hotel. And, I'd get paid a few $100s from the venue. I won't lie. I could make good money down on Broadway. You can make great money down on Broadway. In fact, a lot of people don't know this, but the reason I got to move downtown to my dream apartment building was because of Broadway. It actually wasn't even because of social media. So I was doing very well financially down on Broadway, but I was not doing well mentally. I was not doing well vocally. And it just got to a point where I was hating my life. I was truly hating this shit. I'm sorry. If anybody's watching who had me hired, I'm grateful for you, but damn, that was really wearing on me. So I started propping up my phone and hopping on TikTok Live because I wanted to gain more followers on TikTok Live. That was another thing about performing these gigs. Huge disconnect in the social media realm. It would be me up there playing my guitar and people would pull up my Instagram and, my artist brand is empowering, it's bold, it's sexy, it's me. And they'd be passing the phone around look at this girl, what is going on here? It was not connecting, So I wasn't really hype about promoting myself at these gigs because it just wasn't really making sense. And then I felt like people were just not getting it. And then I'd feel kind of embarrassed. And the audience at these gigs were not my demographic, if that makes sense. A lot of older people, a lot of maybe people who were on the more conservative end, I felt like a lot of the time. So it was just a weird vibe for me. And I really knew that growing my social media was the answer to what I was doing. And so I wasn't really doing that at these gigs. So I decided to pull up my phone and stream on TikTok. Slowly but surely, I started gaining this audience where, I'd perform a song to a room full of 2 or 3 people. Nobody would clap. And I would have thousands of people watching me on live stream and they were being like, why aren't these people clapping? I'd be going crazy if I was there. And then they started tipping me and I was like, oh my God, this is a thing. This was back when, by the way, TikTok Live was at the very precipice of becoming a big thing. So my viewership was fucking insane. That is not the case these days. I will say good luck getting on TikTok Live and getting thousands of people in your room. Even if you've been working at it for a while. No, but you're just not going to get it. So yeah, it was a time. It was a time to be alive and I was on the forefront. So it was a great time to be on it. I was crushing it. And one night I made more money on that than I did at my gig. And I was like, okay, I'm going to move into doing this full time. Shortly after that, TikTok reached out. I actually got paired with a manager at TikTok. And they're not my day-to-day manager, by the way. They just kind of help you with your live stream. But yeah, it was off to the races. I started gaining a lot of followers on TikTok, getting a ton of opportunities from it. So I am a huge proponent in live streaming, not only because of the fact that you can support yourself as an artist through streaming, but also because there is something about being your true organic self, no takebacks, no edits, completely authentic. That is A, terrifying, but B, so fucking beneficial to building a fan base. I know as an artist, we tend to overthink everything. We tend to be perfectionists and that can really get in the way of our output. But by being on live stream, you just don't even have a choice. You are you. And if people like it, they like it. And if they don't, they don't. But there's just something so magical about the fan base that I have built off of TikTok Live. They are ride or fucking die for me. These people have traveled 10 hours to come to my shows. They have sold out my merch when I put it out. They will go to sleep with my new single playing. Like, it's no joke. And I have built my fan base so organically. That is one thing I'm so proud of and just stand 10 toes down on. I have never like paid for fake streams, fake followers, likes, anything. And guys, I'm going to let you know right now, there's a lot of artists that you guys see in this city that are doing well, streaming wise, numbers wise, that are not real. It is very easy to pay for your shit. Very easy. For me personally, I am not really trying to do it that way. A, because I'm worried that it would interfere with natural growth. B, I want to see like how many fans I really have. Like, I want to see some of these artists go on tour. I want to see your numbers. It is so hard to get people in rooms. And when you are paying for, fake streams to look cooler than you are, like, what do your ticket sales look like? Are you ever going to go on tour, or are you going to be too afraid because low key, deep inside that over half your shit isn't even real? Like, how do you even know? How can you even gauge where you're at in your career if you're paying for stuff? I don't know. That pisses me off. I'm not going to lie. And it blows my mind. I don't want to sound too mean about it, but it's just really hard to see as somebody who is genuinely like, putting out a song sometimes and maybe getting under 1,000 streams because all my shit is organic and I'm not on playlists yet, but I am building it brick by brick. So at least I know for a fact that when things do really well, that it is real. For example, my song, It's Already Yours, that I put out a couple years ago, is doing great. It is on a consistent growth trajectory. And when I put that song out, it did not even get 1,000 streams in the first day. And I bawled my eyes out to my ex-boyfriend. And I was like, this song is trash. I'm so like delusional about my music. Like, am I even good? Like, literally begging him I'm like, am I even good? And he's like, yes, like you are. Like, this is just part of it. And, I really have learned to just like let go and trust that the people that love your shit will find you. Guys, if you're an artist out there, don't pay. Don't pay to look cooler than you are. Like, if you want to run some ads on content that's organically already doing well, I'm in full support of that. But paying for just the fake numbers for the sake of literally having more numbers so people think that you're more poppin' than you are, like, I just don't know. I don't know if I can get behind that. And it makes me sad that you can get behind that. So we'll leave it at that. But live streaming is a great way to organically build your numbers, build your fan base, build your following. And I'm a huge advocate of that. So if you are a creative out there, I'm telling you, get on live stream, TikTok, Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Facebook. There's so many options. There's going to be a trial period for everything that you do. So just remember what I said, guys. Resilience is the most important quality. If you can outlast all the bullshit, all right? If you can just keep going and think about it, you're just going to keep going. You're going to keep getting better. You're going to keep refining what is working. You're going to understand what isn't. That is what this is all about. Like, don't rush. There is no rush, especially if you're doing it independent, because there's nobody there to tell you that there is a rush. This is the way, and this is the most fulfilling way. And I feel genuinely so fulfilled. I mean, I think it bleeds through in my content and just how I show up in the world that I'm genuinely so happy right now, and enjoying the whole process of this. And I think in my earlier 20s, I was so hell-bent on like becoming famous and like being like this huge artist. And like now I'm just kind of like, I'm going to trust that whatever's happening for me is happening for me for a reason. And I fully believe that. That's taken a lot of spiritual work, a lot of mental health work, and just, understanding that your path really is perfectly planned for you, the good and the bad. And you'll hear me talk about that a lot on this podcast. I'm a big believer in that. And get on live stream. Get on live stream if you're an artist. All right, we're going to jump into a couple different segments. So the first one that we're going to be doing is called Backstage Breakdown. And this is going to be a moment in my podcast, especially my solo episodes, where I kind of like deep dive into one of my songs or a piece of content or really anything creative that I'm working on and give you guys more of an in-depth story behind the piece of art. So today I feel compelled to talk about my song Marlboro Reds because lately this song is just getting a lot of love, and I've been performing it on tour, and it's probably my favorite moment of my set because I get to pull out my acoustic guitar and just get really raw and open with you guys. So I wrote this song called Marlboro Reds about a time in my life where I was absolutely head over heels in love with a drug addict. And this happened to me when I was super young. All right. So I grew up in a very small town, and my first love was unfortunately heavily addicted to a very dark, very soulless opioid. So I started this relationship when I was 16 years old, and it made me grow up so fast. I was in very dangerous situations and just a part of horrible things that I should have never, ever had to go through at that age. You know, at the time, I thought I knew it all. I thought I was so old. I thought I was so mature. I hated my parents because they hated him. And I thought that I knew that I was doing the right thing by being there for him and trying to help him with his addiction. And also just kind of being ignorant to what was really going on because of how much I loved him, and believing that, you know, he was clean when he wasn't, and trusting that, you know, he'd go to rehab for 2 weeks and he would come back and he would be the person that I knew that he could be. And then, you know, obviously he would fall back in the addiction because he just had no outside support to get him out of this. But this song is one of those examples where I feel like when something traumatic happens to me, it takes me a while to be able to write about what I went through, because it's almost like I don't want to unearth the trauma. Like, I don't want to reopen the wound and the hole that was created that I had to fight so hard to claw my way out of. And that situation ended when I was 19. I did not write this song until I was 27. I didn't write about him until I was 27, which is crazy because this was like 3, almost 4 years of my life that was easily the most impactful and fucked up time that I'll probably ever have. And I couldn't even write about it. And as a songwriter, it's really weird because those places are by far the most beneficial to pull from when you're creating music, but it's just so scary. And I'm not going to lie, you know, Marlboro Reds is lyrically one of my best songs, but even in writing it, I felt sad and I felt emotions that I hadn't felt and that I had compartmentalized and stored away. And I didn't want to feel those things again. Like, there's a lyric in there. The second verse is by far, I think, the most powerful. And it goes, all the lies you told me, alibis and stories, sick with love but lonely, while your eyes were closing in the backseat. I wish I could make you that happy. And you liked her because she did your drugs. And I held on thinking I was enough to change you and save you, saw what you could become, but the high was too good and your soul's too far gone. And even writing that verse, bringing myself back to when I would literally see him nodding off, you know, in the car and finding out that I was being cheated on and they were doing that drug together, like just so dark, so fucked up. Literally like I was on an episode of Euphoria for 4 years of my life as a, you know, teenager. And I'm currently about to go down this path of writing another project about my most recent heartbreak. And I've been avoiding it. Funny enough, Avoid is a song that I wrote about this whole situation, but I'm avoiding it fully because it was another one of those times where I genuinely didn't know if I was going to make it through because of how much pain I felt by losing this person. And I feel like I finally am okay. And like, well, maybe I'm not because I can barely like think back to it. You know, it's once again, I've like been like, okay, like got to keep going, got to keep pushing. Like I can't focus on this. I can't think about this. I can't write about this because like I have more important shit to do. And it's like, actually the most important thing that you could do right now is sit down and write about how you feel about this, because that is how you actually heal. And I will say, guys, after writing Marlboro Reds, the last line in the song was like, sometimes I have these dreams. 10 years have passed and they still make me scream. I used to pray you'd get clean. Now I'm in my own bed and you'll never lay down in these sheets. After I wrote this song, I like stopped having these horrific dreams and I felt like I could close this chapter. And I need to remind myself of that when I'm going into writing this next project about this insanely intense heartbreak that I felt this past year, because a part of me still feels like deeply unhealed, and maybe me allowing myself to write about that and just like how I felt and everything from the good to the bad will help me. And I'm hoping that I can take the beauty of what happened with Marlboro Reds and take it into this writing process for this next project that I'm going to do and just dig really deep and hopefully be able to make something beautiful out of it and just fully heal. And I think that that's kind of my soul's way of being able to heal. I know this sounds really like existential, but like I'm an artist. Okay, I can't help it. I'm deep. I'm also a Scorpio moon, so I feel everything very deeply. But yeah, Marlboro Reds just opened up a whole new world for me, in the sense that like it just reminds me of where it all began, which is just me and my guitar. I used to be in my bedroom, you know, from the ages of like 7 to 15 before all the fucked up shit started happening. Every single night, just like writing with my guitar. And Marlboro Reds is so raw and authentic and vulnerable. And when I wrote that song, it was just me and my guitar. It's just really special to me. And it's been able to connect with so many people who have dealt with drug addiction, or they've loved an addict, or somebody in their family was an addict. Like it has really brought me so close to a lot of people in the world. And I mean, that's my goal with making music. So I hope you guys enjoyed that deep dive into my song Marlboro Reds. Go stream it if you want to hear what it's all about. I honestly, like, it's 10 out of 10. All right. I'm my own biggest supporter. So that song's amazing. Go listen to it. All right. The next segment we're going to do is called the Hot Mic Confession. And this is where I admit something to you guys that might be embarrassing, or I don't know, maybe not even embarrassing, just like honest. And I think, you know how social media is like such a highlight reel and we only see like the good parts of people's lives. And especially with artists, I feel like we really only see like the polished, glamorized version of them. I really want to use this podcast to just be so fucking real with you guys about some stuff. So this week's Hot Mic Confession is that my first show of my tour in Dallas, I think I performed to like less than 20 people. And same with Atlanta. There have been a few shows on my tour that there's barely been anybody there. This is a vital part in any successful artist's career. All right. So we're gonna start there, because I think a lot of people who want to be an artist are afraid of getting their egos bruised. But I actually think that getting your ego bruised is one of the most important things that you can go through. You need to be humbled, all right? Because you will appreciate sold out rooms that much more. And when you are in front of an arena full of people, you will never take that moment for granted. You will not be a brat to the people around you. You will not be a drama queen. You will not be hard to work with, because you remember what it was like to perform to less than 20 people. I need to be humbled. I fully admit that, all right? I think that it's so important as an artist to go through these times where it is evident to you how small you are, all right? How much work you have to do, because to me, that's more motivation than ever. Another thing that I think is important about performing to almost no people is it really makes you an amazing live performer. I gave the same show that I gave to my full Nashville crowd of over 100 people to the people in Dallas. Actually, wait, I take that back a little bit. I got a lot of practice before the Nashville show. So like some things were different, but for the most part, the energy that I brought to the stage and the gratitude that I brought to the stage was the same. Like, I'm not going to be pissed up there. I'm not canceling the show. If the venue cancels the show, that's on them. But I'm not going to cancel a show because I only sold a couple tickets. All right. I'm going to give you the best damn show of your life. I'm going to stare you in your eyes while I perform all the songs, and I'm going to hug you after my set. I'm going to take time to talk with you. I'm going to have a drink with you. That is what I stand on as an artist. And it has made me feel so much more powerful having that mindset. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Because I think what makes you feel weak is feeling like you are too afraid to fail. That's what makes me feel weak personally. It would make me feel weak to cancel a show because I didn't sell enough tickets. That to me is lame. That to me is hurtful to the fans that did pay to come see you. And how magical will it be to those couple people in the crowd that came to see you perform when you do blow up and they get to say that they were at a show where there was only, 5 people in the room. Like, that's fucking awesome. All right. That is a part of your journey. So get over yourself. All right. I had to, and I will continue to be this way because to me, this is so vital to what we're doing. All right. It is going to be so much fun to talk about these times when I am in arenas because I genuinely believe with my whole heart that I will perform in an arena. So that is my hot confession, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And you can always come back to this podcast and hear hot confessions from me because that is literally why I have this podcast. I'm determined to show you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. Also, I be acting like a bad bitch 24/7 on social media. So, this is the place where you can come to hear the real tea. Speaking of which, that's another confession I might as well say. I struggle so bad with self-doubt. Like, I might come across very, very confident. And don't get me wrong, when I'm confident, you can't tell me shit. Like, I'm so confident. But guys, I have so many days where I'm like doubting everything, where I'm comparing myself. Oh my God. Comparison has been one of the biggest hurdles that I've had to get through as an artist. Like, I used to obsessively check like other people's pages and stuff that I would compare myself to and just like feel bad about myself. Why was I torturing myself like that? That was crazy. That was crazy behavior. I stopped doing that. I will say I graduated from that because I had to talk to my therapist a lot about how horrible that was for my mental health. Something that I repeat to myself when I'm comparing myself is my journey is my journey. Like, my path is my path. My career is my career. I am not them. I don't want their life. I love my life. Like, things like that. Just being like, that's amazing for them. The happier that you can be about other people's success, I promise you, the more you will attract in your own life because you're just worried about yourself. You're grateful for your own shit. And that is when doors start opening and things just start getting better and better because you got horse blinders on. That's how you got to be. And our last segment of this solo episode is called The Green Light. So this is when I talk about something positive that happened this week that just reminded me to keep going. It's your green light, all right? And I think it's really important to reflect on your wins and the good things that are happening because it's very easy as an artist to get in a negative headspace. So I want to talk to you guys about my green light moment this week. It's so cute. It's so cute. Hold on. First of all, my Nashville show in general was a green light moment for me. That show was so magical. I could cry. I get emotional talking about it. First of all, the amount of people that showed up for me in Nashville, Music City. All right. This city is not an easy market to conquer. The fact that the highest selling city on my tour so far has been Nashville, when there are so many amazing music artists here, is a massive win for me. I'm so proud of that. And so many of you guys showed up for me. And I'm telling you, this show was exactly what I needed to just keep pushing and remind myself that like, this is absolutely what I'm supposed to be doing. The way I felt on stage, I felt so confident. I rehearsed for that show so much. I really up-leveled my performance and like my stage presence. And you could tell in that show, I absolutely slayed. I'm usually so critical of my performance and like how I look. No, I killed that. All right. I killed that. But this girl came. Her name's Ariel. Shout out to you, Ariel. She is so sweet. She, I will say at this moment, might be my biggest fan. when I was walking up to the venue, she was actually outside and she came right up to me and she was like freaking out. She was like, I can't even believe like I'm meeting you. Like she was so sweet. We hugged. Ariel, you set the tone for me that night. You gave me so much like positive energy and just how excited you were to see me. I needed that so badly. That was seriously a gift from God. Like I'm so grateful that I saw you before I even walked into the green room because you really put me on such a high vibration. So thank you for that. Thank you for your love. But the cutest thing that happened this week, she commented on one of my TikTok videos. I'm going to read this comment to you. I posted this on my Instagram story. Comments like this and like just make my day. So Ariel says, Jade, in all caps. I got pulled over, speeding, whoops, in my Curve Tour t-shirt. By the way, that's the name of my tour, and we have merch, the Curve Tour. On my way home Sunday, and got to tell all the cops about you, and they were so excited about it. The backup officer came to my window just to ask about you because I was so hyped still. I had the gas station clerk in Crossville look you up too. She said she's looking for new music with a bunch of green hearts. And I read this book called The Tipping Point. And it's all about how little tiny incremental like upward movement eventually gets you to the tipping point. And when I envision people going out in the world and telling random people about me or about my music, that is what I think about. I think about just a little bit more people hearing about me, listening to my music, looking at my songs. Like that is really my only goal. Okay, is to every single day move the needle by a little bit because eventually it's going to tip over. You know, you're like on this roller coaster climb and then eventually, woo, you know? So Ariel, thank you for being a part of, you know, getting people to know about me, coming to my show. It means so much to me. So if you're somebody out there who supports me and what I'm doing, be a part of this. All right. Tell somebody with your own words. All right. Not even on social media, in person. Tell them because I think that that is so valuable. Some of my favorite artists, that's how I've heard about them, is my friends telling me that they love their music or, you know, they really connected with the song or they think that I'd like it. So yeah, I love you guys. That was my green light moment for this week. So to wrap this up, I just want to let you guys know where I'm currently at. I'm on tour, like I said, and we have decided we want to continue this tour. All right. This tour has been so much fun. I'm on tour with Kaya Lacey. She's an incredible artist. She's actually going to be on the podcast in November. And my videographer, content guy, Jack, he's so incredible. All the dope content that you guys have seen on my socials, that's all Jack. So we've been really enjoying ourselves and we decided that we really want to aim for one show a month. So in November, we're going to be kind of moving into that structure instead of trying to do a bunch of shows in 1 month, just so we can like properly build up the hype and give it all the attention that it deserves. That's just where I'm at in my career. So I'm on tour. I'm going to be talking a lot about that and just have so much content from all of those amazing experiences. Kaya and I will absolutely dive into tour life, how we did this tour, how we, you know, have structured it and how we've booked it on our episode. So definitely stay tuned for that if you're interested in that, especially if you're independent and you kind of want to do something similar. But as far as this podcast goes, I'm going to be having on other artists that, you know, really inspire me in Nashville. I'm going to have on my friends and we're going to do solo episodes. I just want to use this as my space for you guys to get to know me behind the music and behind the high quality, glamorous content that I put out on socials. One of my favorite artists ever, his name is Mike. He is an independent artist and Mike has amazing music. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like I really connected with him because of his podcast. When I heard him talking about his beliefs and the way that he was doing his career, and just kind of his mindset around the music industry, I supported him 10 times more. And that is my goal with this. Like, I want you guys to really get to know who I am as a person. And I love to share everything that I'm kind of going through and learning. And I think if you've just ever wanted to create something bigger than yourself for yourself, this podcast is going to be really interesting for you. And if you know anybody who is also kind of in that same mindset and just on that same wavelength, definitely send this to them. Do me a favor, you guys. Go stream my music. It's available all over the place. Jade Million on Spotify, Apple Music. Definitely buy tickets to my Chicago show. It is on October 26th, Sunday night, guys, at the Basement in Chicago. If you're in Chicago, come through. I want to see you there. You guys can get tickets on bio.site/The Curve Tour. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because there will be a new episode for you guys every single Wednesday. Next week, we have on a very exciting guest. He is blowing up and his music is absolutely incredible. I'm sure you know him. He's a Nashville local, so I'm very excited to have him on. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram, Jade Million on everything, guys. And do me a favor, in the comments of this episode, please let me know what your favorite part was. Guys, like this video, subscribe, do all the YouTube shit, all right? My goal is to be the biggest podcast in Nashville because low-key, I think that there's a space for it, which is kind of insane. Like, we're in Music City. So support the green room, guys, and I will see you guys next Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I love you all, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.